Okay, so it's recording everything at the moment. So what do you think is the main thing? That's
Head.
head, yeah?
Yeah. Keeping the head position
Okay,
when I'm breathing.
okay,
Because the temptation is to bring the head
yeah,
up a lot higher than I need to,
yeah, okay,
which in turn then throws my shoulders out, which in turn throws the outer water arm in the wrong position and just
yeah,
basically puts a brake on the whole stroke.
yeah, okay. What about your breathing itself? Obviously, your head position, you lift your head to breathe.
Yeah.
What about how effectively do you think you're breathing?
No idea.
Okay, all right. What about the rate that you take strokes at? Do you ever think about that?
I'm too lazy.
Okay.
I
Why do you say
know.
that?
I know. In the middle of a race, when I've got my race head on,
Yeah.
I pick the pace up considerably.
Okay.
But I find what works for me is by starting off slow,
Yeah.
getting comfortable in the water, getting settled. Give me that first 200 metres,
Yeah.
then I'll start to pick the pace up because I feel good.
Yeah. Okay.
And I've got over that potential panic phase of shit. I know that's what I did wrong in Market Bosworth. I went out too hard, too aggressively.
Yeah.
Was fighting for the first 100 odd metres. Then swam into the dead fish, which didn't know.
That's never going to be nice.
And then just lost it.
Yeah. Okay.
Stafford purposely held back because there was a lot of young kids in front of us, knew they were going to have a panic attack at about 50, 100 metres, knew I was going to have to swim through them. Sensible pace, got through the masses, got to the first turn, which was about 300 metres, picked the pace up. Muskoka, ironically found myself towards the front of the swim pack, but with space. Did exactly the same, build up the speed, picked up the pace, got around the third corner and suddenly found I was hitting the next two waves in front of me, which were 5 and 10 minutes ahead of me, and I was flying, and I kept the pace up.
So once you get into a rhythm.
I like that 100 metres just to get to be calm, into rhythm, and then go for it.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, what we'll do then is we'll run through this and pick out kind of key elements that we need to be working on.
Right.
Okay. We'll focus on 2 or 3 main elements rather than dozens and dozens, because it'll give us too much and it gets things
Give me
confusing.
two key points to focus on.
Yeah. Okay. And then we concentrate on those afterwards. All right.
Yeah.
When it comes to swim correction, there is a hierarchy which we kind of follow. So there's an order in which things should be kind of ideally targeted in, and that's because very often there's a chain of events which occurs. So for example, if you lift your head, then your legs sink. So some people may try and sort their leg kick out, thinking they've got a bad leg kick, but it may actually be something further up the chain that's causing that. So we always start with breathing and relaxation. So in terms of how effective and how efficiently you're breathing, and body positioning, head positioning, timing. So in terms of your stroke rates and the actual timing of your stroke, and then it kind of goes on from there. Okay. Major issues we look at, or the major kind of points, I suppose, are what we want to try and achieve is a reduction in drag and an increase in propulsion.
Yeah.
So they're the two key biggies. Yeah. Most of the things we look at first of all are how we can reduce down the drag. Okay. So everyone has drag. It's just a kind of varying degrees. So we'll start to play this through. And have you ever seen yourself on? Have you ever been filmed before?
Yeah, once.
So the sideways on view, it's at a funny angle, but you can still see that. People generally look pretty smooth from this angle, and it's quite a forgiving.
The head's coming up there.
Yeah, it's quite a forgiving angle. But what it does do, I'll take it back a little bit. What it does do is allows us to see what's happening with the head as you're breathing, and what's happening with the recovery phase of the arm. Okay. We'll just concentrate on the head position first of all. Okay, you're breathing away from me there.
Yeah.
You're breathing every stroke, every second stroke. So is that the way you normally?
Normally until I get comfortable, and then I'll do every 3. There's
Okay.
every 4, sorry.
Do you breathe on just one side?
I prefer to breathe on just one side.
Okay, right. Do you ever try to breathe on the other side?
Yeah.
Does that feel? How does that feel?
Initially, when you first told me to do it, I was drowning.
Yeah.
I try and put it into every other set.
Okay.
It's getting better. It also finds it also feel that I can feel my shoulders rolling better.
Yeah. Okay. There's normally a reason for struggling to breathe on the non-favoured side, and that could be a whole combination of things. We'll have a look at that in a minute. Very often it's because the lead arm collapses down and doesn't give you the support to turn your head. But we'll have a look at that a bit further down. So if we just whiz this forward a little bit. So the main thing we're picking up from here is the head position, which is the main thing we pick up from this kind of angle. And we'll see it. Obviously you're going to breathe towards me this time. So what we're seeing here is we're seeing the full face. I know you're just pushing off from the wall there. We'll take another stroke. You actually got quite a nice hand entry there. You could do with rotating a little bit more, but your hand entry is quite nice. Nice pointed fingers, flat hand, good entry. So you're entering fingers first, below your elbow, and then you're turning to breathe, and you're getting this big. Okay, so you're seeing your whole face. What we want to ideally be looking for is what crop eye breathing.
Yeah.
So one eye in, one eye out. So split level. So if I just swim smooth, and I know you've probably been through some of this before, but I'll just show it on here so that it gets recorded. So when you review it later, it's just a refresher for you. So this is the kind of thing we want to be achieving here, look. So you've got a split level, split screen. So one eye onto the water, one eye above, and then pushing the mouth to the side to actually make the space, the extra space to breathe. If you don't lift your head too much to breathe, then you should end up with a bow wave above your head. That bow wave gets broken up if you lift your head and drop your head, lift your head, drop your head. You keep your head still and turn around the centre point, like on a spit, then your head, the bow wave should remain where it is, but you're breaking it each time you lift and drop your head. Okay? The bow wave, as you can see here, creates a little trough for you to breathe into. It gives you an extra bit of space, so you don't need to lift your head so high. Okay? That's all to do with body positioning, which we'll come on to in a minute. Right. Now, what I want to look at next, what I suspect you're doing, do you think you hold your breath under the water?
Not really.
No? Okay.
I'm breathing out.
Well, I mean, you're breathing every stroke, so there's not really much of a delay there. What I'm looking for here, and it looks like you're breathing out. It looks like you're breathing out underwater.
I blow out through your nose immediately.
What I'm looking for to see if you're holding your breath at all, because that can generally lead to the front end of the body being higher than the back end. Okay, so it pulls the front end up and causes the legs and the back end of the body to sink. It also means that you've got less time to actually take the breath in, because you're almost having to breathe out and breathe in at the same time.
No, I know that.
Yeah.
You can see breathing out through the nose.
Yeah, you're breathing out. You're breathing out. Now, your body position is actually pretty good. You've got a naturally quite a high body position. Your bum is on the surface of the water there. I notice when you're kicking, your feet are touching. There's one particular kick in your stroke cycle where you kick out the water. And you do create a bit of a splash. That's not too bad, Paul. That's not too bad. You're lifting your head, and you know that. Your body position seems to be naturally quite good.
Right.
I'm going to take it back and just actually see where you're when you're under the water. Yeah, that's what I'm looking for here. I'm looking to see what happens when you're under the water and you're taking the stroke. Okay. Ideally, you want to be. I mean, at the moment you're looking down here. Okay. Now it's worth experimenting with your head position because some people benefit from looking slightly further forward because it alters the rest of the body position following on from there.
Right.
Normally, if you look down, it lifts the back end up. You've got a naturally quite a good body position anyway. You're quite high in the water, so you may actually benefit from looking slightly further forward. What that allows you to do is because you're closer to the surface of the water already because you're looking up, you don't have to turn quite so much to get the breath. You might find it easier to get the air in if you're not turning, but we can work on that. We can do some drills and test the head positioning. Okay, so the main thing so far is head positioning, and I want to do some breathing work anyway. I want to get the breathing more relaxed and see if we can reduce, because it looks like you're gasping when you're.
Okay.
Because the guys in America have looked at you, haven't they?
Not with a camera.
Okay. What have they said about your stroke?
The biggest thing is head position breathing.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's take this forward then. It's going to be bilateral breathing. Mm-hmm. You need to kind of work on that, right? So, what I'm looking at.
One of the other things that I'm worried about is I think I get lazy.
Okay.
At the back end of the catch.
Okay. All right.
And I have to catch myself. I have to sort of remind myself when I'm in the middle of a race to make sure I do take the catch all the way through.
I wouldn't worry about that too much for now. I wouldn't worry about it too much for now. I mean, that's kind of further on down the line, really. What I'm looking at here is what happens to the lead arm. Okay. So when you take a breath, ideally that lead arm wants to be staying high. What's actually happening is when you take the breath, it's collapsing straight down. It's pushing straight down. So if we look at some. Feels like getting backwards this thing. If we look at this chap called John O'Van Hazen, which you've probably seen clips of before, and this is actually a good one to look because of his head position. If I play that through, you look at his head position. His head doesn't move from where it is. He turns to breathe. Probably actually looks better if you speed it up. His head is perfectly still, and eventually he'll turn to breathe. Just carry on back to the centre again. But what I'm actually trying to show you here is he takes a stroke. You see where his lead arm is dead straight here.
Yeah.
Keep it going until he takes a breath. So the lead arm is out high. He's going to take a breath now, is he? There you go. Takes a breath, and his lead arm is there. Look, that lead arm provides the support for you to turn and breathe. He's breathing at that point. Whereas if yours, when you take the breath, that lead arm is collapsing down. That pulls the rest of the body down, which means you have to feel like you have to lift even higher to get your head above the water to breathe. That's a body positioning issue, which we can work on. We'll get you to do some drills, which I'll go through in a minute with you. If we can get that addressed, it's going to stop you having to lift your head up. So that's going to try and help the overlifting. Okay. Right, so what I'm going to look at next is your kick timing, or the efficiency of your kick.
Imagine
I don't think it's too bad actually. I'll try and find a clip of it. Get rid of that for now. So what I'm looking for is a bend from the hip. It's a kick from the hip rather than from the knee.
Mm-hmm.
It's quite a weak kick, isn't it? Because it's not. And it changes as the stroke progresses, as you go through the stroke cycle. So you've got a good kick down there, you've got a good kick down there, and then the other leg follows down, and then that's your big splash.
Right.
So when you lift your head to breathe, you follow it up with a big kick from the back. And generally what happens at the front end gets balanced out at the back, and that's all caused by the over rotation to breathe. So we can balance things up by getting you to breathe bilaterally and not having to lift your head so high. It'll improve the back end of the kick here. Looks like you've got some decent flexibility in your ankles there. I'm looking at how pointed your toes go, and it's nice and straight there. So you've got some flexibility in your ankles, which is great. A lot of runners and triathletes are really kind of rigid. They can't straighten their feet very much. So you've got the ability to flex your ankles there, which is good.
You know, I used to be a scuba diver instructor.
Did you?
So that's why.
Yeah.
The key thing about scuba is you don't work your legs, you work it from.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think your kick's not too bad, Paul. I think the main issue with your kick is what's happening at the front end. It's affecting the kick.
Right.
So if we go to above. Now this is the angle where there's kind of no hiding place from really. This is kind of where you get to see what's really going on. Spamming. Olga, I look forward to your response. Start getting loads of those. Right, so
Yeah, but I get them. Unfortunately, half of them are actually true because they're working in Russia. It's like
right,
Olga is from the accounting office.
right. Okay, so what we're looking at here
She's
is
very attractive, Olga, as well.
yeah. You know she's been recording. Okay, so that's great. That is. Your arm's gone in. Look how straight that is. When you're swimming forwards, you want to be swimming along tram lines.
Yeah.
You want everything to be going in the same direction of travel. Okay.
Well, I remember when I first started swimming, you got beaten into me.
Yeah.
111, 111, 111, 111, 111, 111.
Right.
They used to cross over.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's what I'm looking for, really.
And the guy who was sort of coaching me and introducing me to water said, "Paul, stop it."
Yeah. Yeah. Well, what I'm kind of looking for is exactly that. I'm looking for, I mean, that arm, I'll play it through just to make sure it carries on. That arm is nice and straight. You're taking the breath there. And it's actually pulling through pretty well. It's not collapsing down in this particular stroke as much as I thought it was. What you have got here is a big scissor kick.
Yeah.
Okay, and again, that's caused by the over rotation. You're almost rotating vertically. You should be about 45 degrees in the water. Okay. You're almost rotating. You're rotating too far to get this breath. Get rid of all those lines. Okay. Now what we're saying here is this. You are crossing over. You're pointing over that direction, and then you're kind of pulling it round to straighten out. And this action here at the front here, by crossing over and then pulling backwards, is causing this imbalance here in the kick and this big kick here.
Right.
You're throwing your body out of alignment, and you're kind of almost twisted at this point. And it's affecting. You know, I said before when you had quite a nice hand entry. That particular part of the stroke is affecting the hand entry. And it's all because it's not balanced because of the breathing. We'll back to the breathing again. You've got a decent catch on that arm, pulling through, and then you're crossing over with the left arm, which is causing this big kick, and it happens every time. One big kick there. That's heading over in that direction, which again is causing this scissor kick. It's not excessive, but it's little things like this which add up. The stroke generally needs a balance. It needs kind of balancing up. We need to get rid of this. If we balance it up, we get rid of this big scissor kick, which causes a low drag. This is causing you quite big problems this year. Again, if we show you. So hand entry, pushes forward, and because everything is in super straight lines, it means his legs can stay together. It's all rotating around the central point. And that's what we need to try and achieve. So, what we're going to work on is we'll do some breathing. I want to do some sink downs with you, which you've done anyway, just to start off with. See what you like at those, which you've probably done billions of times as a scuba diver then. Yeah? We'll say a good guy then. And then we're going to do some the bubble breathe drill, which you've probably seen before. Yeah? To try and get you to breathe on both sides. And then what we're going to look at is your body positioning. Okay, and that's simply going to be standard drills, but we'll make sure we do some good work on them and get you holding the right shape. Is the kick on the side, which again you will have seen. Let's play a short clip of it on here. Have you got fins?
The kick on your side drill is a mainstay drill in swing smooth.
But you've got fins.
It's a multi-purpose
to use them
when
you're doing drills. You do drills.
I haven't done recently, so I've been saying, yeah.
Kicking on your side has been used in swimming for many years, and originally used to either promote good leg efficiency and promote rotation.
Okay, so nice on the side.
Practice this drill.
And the idea here is that
position,
you get used to being in a nice streamlined position, and this lead arm stays high when you breathe.
left arm extended forward,
Okay,
right arm held loose.
it's holding a nice straight position, and the arm doesn't drop. Just concentrate on not letting that arm drop.
Down towards the bottom of the pool, like a long continuous strength.
And if we can get that nicely mastered,
Take a breath whenever you need to. Otherwise, have your attention looking down towards that black line.
then it's really going to help you
When
stay
you're kicking on
nice
your
and in
side,
alignment
think about drawing your shoulder
and not letting
blades
that arm,
together
front
and
lead
back.
arm collapse down.
Great alignment, middle finger straight down.
From that, we'll progress on to the 616, which again you've seen, no doubt. No? Okay. It's a progression of the kicking on the side drill. It just introduces a stroke. So kicking on the side,
This is the
One
616 drill, which is a development.
so again
of
you're
the
concentrating
kick
on
your
keeping
side
that lead arm high when
drill. It's
you
a building
breathe,
block of the stroke here.
and then when you take a
It's
stroke,
introducing a single
staying
stroke,
straight
swap
and
swing,
not having a crossover, staying all nice and in alignment.
This is a great drill to include most people.
It's got to be done with fins. It's
It's
very difficult to do without fins, otherwise you just lose momentum and you start to sink.
allowing you to slowly rotate from one stroke over to the next. A key point, as you can see here with the drill, is to
So we'll work through that. And then, just finally, another progression is a 636. So it's the same thing again, but you're starting to introduce more of a normal stroke.
The 636 drill is a further development of our side.
So you can see how it builds up, and you try and maintain that
single stroke
straightness, if you like,
The 636
as you
will
build
take
up
three
strokes.
strokes in a row to swap you onto the other side of your stroke.
This allows you to really feel like you're building back.
What I also want to do with you is to do some little bit of kick work, kick timing. So do the torpedo drill. Here we go. And this obviously works on your kick and works on being in a streamlined body position. But rather than going up and down with a kickboard, as most people do, kickboards actually throw your body out of alignment because your head up is out of the water and you're arching your back. Torpedo kick gets you to work on your kick in a more natural, streamlined position. Get rid of talking a bit. So you push off, kick as hard as you can, on one breath. Nice efficient kick. Keep going until you run out of puff and then you stop. Okay, so it's a good strong kick all the way down as far as you can, and you can actually, as you get better at it, you'll be able to get further down the pool. Okay, you then stop and then you swim back, concentrating on a good kick with a nice relaxed rhythm. So you practice a strong kick down and a relaxed kick back. And there's some things that you can think about to try and keep your feet together, tapping your toes and things like that as you swim. So we'll go through those. I think they're the main issues, the main things that we'll look at for now. Depending on how we get on, we might get some stroke, do some catch and pull through work as well. Okay. But the main things, body positioning, breathing, and then some kick work. Your stroke rate. We'll have a little look at your stroke time as well. Might do some experiment with your stroke rate. Your stroke rate is about 55 strokes a minute, which is quite low.
Yeah. So it's good.
Yeah.
No, it's lazy.
Yeah. So some people, like it's fuel economy on a car, some people will have an optimum stroke rate, which is quite a lot quicker than they used to, but it actually doesn't make you feel like you're working that much harder, but you get a lot of extra speed from that. And it improves the rest of the stroke, because obviously body position comes up if you're going quicker, it's more efficient. So they're the main things you're going to look at. Okay. You got any questions or anything?
Yeah?
You alright?
Yeah, just concentrate.
Right. The good thing is, what I think you've got, which is really good, is that you've got a natural good buoyancy. So you've got a natural body position. I've got a sinky body, so I've got to work hard to get myself up. I think because you've already got that, what the issue with your stroke is mainly is the positioning. If you get the timing and the positioning right, you've naturally got a good buoyancy to you, and I think that would make quite a big difference. So that's, I've always struggled with my buoyancy. I've always had to work hard to try and get myself up in the water. Okay, right. Well, let's tidy this up then. So,